Good morning, business builders. Welcome to Business for Breakfast, where business is the most important meal of the day. I'm your host, Aaron Novinger. Today, we're going to unpack the top business news and stories the last 24 hours, and we're going to sprinkle in tips and tricks to help you mind your own business. I know why you're all here. You guys are here for the morning mark. Justin, good to see you, my friend. How is my mic? Tell me it's loud and clear. I'm hoping. My boy. All right. It's usually a few seconds delayed. Let's go ahead and jump into the morning mark. I know why you're all here. You're here for the morning mark. No props required. No drinks, no gear, just you and a functioning brain. We'll work with what we've got this morning. Wherever you are, a desk, truck, kitchen, job site, standing or sitting, it doesn't matter. Your job's pick one thing today that you're going to finish. Not 10, not a list, just one. Now, mark it mentally, mark it down. That's the line in the sand. That's the thing the day doesn't get to erase from you. This is the pause that sharpens the edge, the moment that turns noise into signal, the tiny act that makes business owners dangerous in a good way. That, my friends, is your morning mark. Your day has officially started. Now let's dive in, shall we? All right. It's time for the news. So excited about it, to be honest, man. Let me go ahead and get my timer started. Hello. I know. Hello. All right. Let's jump into some news, shall we? My favorite business builders. Okay, the top stories in small business news today. Let's start with, I think, one you're going to all be excited about. And this is one of those things under the brand new OBBBA. Okay, now, you guys know when I say ABBA, I am not talking about the most amazing band that has some of the greatest songs on one of the greatest movies ever, Mamma Mia. Okay, I'm talking about One Big Beautiful Bill Act, that ABBA, okay, which for us business owners is just as beautiful as Mamma Mia. I got to be honest. Okay, but one of the big changes that starts this year, ready for this? Section 179 expensing limit has doubled to 2.5 million. Okay, it's doubled. This allows businesses to deduct the full purchase price of qualifying equipment, vehicles, machinery, software immediately rather than depreciating it over the last few years. So you understand why this is such a big deal, right? So you understand that small business really drives the economy. I know you would think that it's a fortune company. It's not. It's small business. And it's the overall attitude, positive or negative, toward what we're seeing in the market as business owners. Okay. So one of the best ways that you can stimulate the economy is to get small business owners to spend money. Because let's be honest. Let's see. Small business owners, the only thing that separates great small business from great large business, proper cash flow management. Did you hear me? Can I get a woot woot? Proper cash flow management. That's it. Which means, who is more likely to light their money on fire if they know that there's a business deduction? Small business owners, not usually fortune companies. You want to know why? Because the CEO is not usually making the decision in a big company. He's got some input. She's got some input. They've got ideas, but they're not usually the end all be all. In a small business, it's just the business owner. You get that, right? And that's the reason why the small business owners light that shit on fire. Sorry about that. Every once in a while, I will swear when I'm passionate, but I try not to. But here's the dealio. This is a big deal, and its purpose is to stimulate the economy. When you reduce taxes and you increase tax write-offs and deductions, you're doing one thing, and your job is to stimulate the economy. And so with us doubling the Section 179 taxes or deduction to 2.5 million, this is one huge signal, which is buy. Okay, this dramatically improves cash flow for businesses. And by the way, you guys know my wife and I run and own a small business accounting firm. So this is our jam. You need anything, any help with this, you guys know you can go to businessforbreakfastradio.com, submit a question, or you go to speakwithaaron.com, schedule us a call. You're going to talk directly to me if you have any questions about anything we covered today. Let's jump into the second story that's going to affect us mom and pop Venti shop owners. Number one. Actually, this is number two. Number one was Section 179 expense doubles. This is number two. 1099 NEC and 1099 miscellaneous thresholds raises to $2,000. Can I explain to you what this means? Can we just take 2 seconds? And I know that my energy is like off the charts and it shouldn't be this high this early in the morning. But I am telling you that what I'm about to tell you has been the vein of my existence for 10 years. Okay. Every year as a small business owner, you want to know one of the first things that I asked when I would go to my accountant before I started my own accounting firm, I would go and say, what is the deduction limit this year? Do I have to issue 1099s to every human being that I paid $600 to? And the every year that reporting rule would get postponed a year, but every single year, and you guys know for I don't know, 10, 20 years, the amount has been $600. And tell me this as a small business owner, how in the world, since we are already spinning all 7 plates of business, all of them ourselves, please explain to me how in the world a small business owner is supposed to also do their deductions and how they're supposed to also 1099 every human being they paid $600 to, which is everybody. Everybody. Okay, guess what? It's not even doubled, raised 350% to $2,000. You talk about reducing what we always call the January nightmare. Okay, because this is the year that in January is where we kind of come out of the holiday slumber and we're like bears and we're like, roar, it's time to eat. Oh my God, I have taxes due in 60 days. Like this is literally what all of us do every single year. You know what I'm saying? Holla if you in the house. Okay. All right. Let's jump into number 3 for top stories of the day, shall we? And this is about Meta. And you guys will see that the magnificent 7 tech companies are usually in the news daily, mainly because they own the tech companies that put out the news. But hey, what ifs, right? But next story in the news, and looks like this is in social media marketing. Meta restricting link posts for unverified business pages. Here's the story. Meta is currently testing a pay-to-play model where unverified Facebook, Instagram business pages are limited to sharing only 2 external links per month. To post more frequent links to your shop or booking page, businesses must subscribe to Meta Verified. Now, why is this a big deal to you as a business owner? This could devastate your organic traffic for local shops that really rely on your social media to drive sales. And so now you might have to kind of pivot to the, I don't know, link to bio. You're starting to see the strategies kind of preparing for almost like a new monthly subscription cost, but you're going to start seeing, link to bio. You're starting to see that more and more now. And me as a guy that uses YouTube literally on the daily for basically my Audible education. So people think that because you're on YouTube or you're scrolling on Facebook, that you're also a genius on social media. And those are not the same thing, just on the same page. Doing this, I don't know, if you're hearing me and you're not seeing me, I'm just doing my finger and I'm swiping up. Okay. That's just me swiping my finger on a piece of glass, which is called a cell phone. Okay. Or an iPad. That is just me scrolling. That is not me being an expert in social media. Okay. So for you guys like me who use it regularly as a scroller, but not as necessarily a architect or engineer that knows how to utilize the tool, this could be a big deal because I know for somebody like me where I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm like, where do I find the information? So I'm used to going to the description of the video, and more often it's not there. I have to somehow go to the comment and hopefully they pin it to the top of the comment, or I got to go to the bio and see if they got something there. But more and more, I'm not finding how to link back, and now we're knowing why, right? And it's because you guys are starting to see that all of these huge tech companies are the best at scraping money off the floor. This is just free money. Okay. So that's all we're doing here. Free money. Okay. So all they're doing, Meta just basically says, oh, wait a minute. Very similar to the way, if you guys remember back in the day before Elon bought X and it was called Twitter. Okay. Back then, you guys remember that you had to be somebody special to get a blue check mark, right? So what did Elon do as soon as he took over? He basically said politics are out the door. Basically, we're not going to worry about A to Z, but we will obsess over A to E. And A to E is we've got to make this company profitable. A to E is profitable, right? And so what it was one of the very first things he did, pay to play. You got to pay for that blue check mark, which, by the way, it did two things. One, immediately increase revenue. And number two, immediately cut down on the bots, right? And we know for the tech companies, they love bots because it inflates their numbers. We saw that as soon as Elon stepped in and bought Twitter. And immediately you saw over the next year, bots just started disappearing because you have to understand that these publicly traded companies, a big part of their quarterly call is on user count. Okay. But they're not specific in that, right? So anytime you have a company that's basically stepping in to do more verification and more of a subscription model, that's good. I know it says to give you more organic, but I don't know, man. Like to me, if your business, here's my rule of thumb. Do not trip over dollars to pick up pennies. Okay. Don't trip over dollars to pick up pennies. Here's what I'm talking about. If your revenue streams comes from one of the Magnificent Seven tech companies, okay, and they start putting a subscription model in play, don't you think that it's probably in your best interest? I'm just throwing it out hypothetically. This isn't me making recommendations, but don't you just think hypothetically that if your livelihood is dependent on this tech company, that you would subscribe so that way it doesn't affect your pocketbook? But you see so many business owners do that. Like, oh my gosh, it's like $9 a month for a blue check mark. And so like, I'm just not going to do it. I just refuse to be a part of the system. You're like, right, moron. But you know that all of your revenue comes from that, or 80%. So how about you don't cut off your nose to spite your face? How about you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater? How about you don't do that, right? I swear, business owners. Oh, love them. Okay. How about we jump into another social media story? And this one is from the content, was it Content Grip? I think it's the Tech Buzz is where I read this. This is specifically about TikTok. Okay. And you guys know that for years and years, social media has been beefing mainly with TikTok because it's Chinese owned. And let's be honest, there's three global superpowers, Russia, China, and US. And all three of them at all times are working on expanding their territory, right? And we know that healthy things grow. So if something's not growing, even if it's staying the same, by default, it's shrinking because healthy things grow. So healthy things don't dwarf, healthy things don't shrink, healthy things grow. Your business should be growing. If your business is not growing, it's because you as the owner are consciously or subconsciously dwarfing your business. You don't even realize it. The lid to your success is and is always the top decision maker in your organization, without fail. And by the way, here's a telltale sign if it is that person. If you don't ever hear them apologize or take on new information or blame everyone, that's a really, really clear indication of where your problem is in the business that you are working for. And if you're the business owner, I'm speaking directly to you, mom and pop Venti shop owner, entrepreneur. If your business isn't growing, there is a problem, right? We got to fix it. We got to figure it out. Okay. But speaking of things that are growing through the years, what has been growing is our love and distaste for TikTok. Love of TikTok, but also distaste that it's Chinese owned. And we hate the fact that there is an actual button called a heat button on TikTok. This was discovered years ago. Public, go search for TikTok heat button. You'll see it. And China had direct control over it, which means anything they wanted to go viral, all they had to do was hit a button and they could make it viral, whatever it is. Whatever it is. Okay, now here's the kicker. You guys understand that each country has to operate in its best interest, right? I think we kind of already know that, right? So you might not like what Israel's doing. You might not like what Russia's doing. You might not like what Libya is doing. You might not like what China's doing. And you might not like what the US is doing. But in the end, what you want and hope for is that your leader is more crazy than the other ones, focused on you, your success, and the betterment of the organization. And for this, it happens to be the United States of America. And you guys know that's a big, big thing that the Trump administration has been pushing is relocating the database where everything is stored. And you know that Trump and Larry Ellison are like best buds. And you got a couple billionaires kind of hang out. And so, Larry's been putting his son in charge of a lot of the media empire. And so the idea is that TikTok basically relocates his database to Oracle. So it's controlled by the US, right? Doesn't mean we don't have privacy. We lost privacy years ago. It just means who has control of the database, And so what we're seeing is TikTok is now activating, ready for this? Their nearby feed that officially launches for local discovery. Now, this is either this is probably just going to be just another I'm losing my identity and my privacy story that you hear every day. Okay. But when you have an app, and by the way, if you go to TikTok and I have it, I use it, you guys know that. But understand that anything you have on that phone, everything is recorded by that app. Okay. So, but because Google Google and Yelp really have had such a stronghold on local small business search that now it looks like TikTok is now trying to give Google and Yelp a run for their business, right? And so, now basically just walking by and a small business goes, hey, come and hang out with me, man. So this is a big story, but I don't know. I kind of feel like this is one of those stories that you always hear about that, over given enough time, everything, no matter how crazy the very first time you hear everything, you end up getting used to everything. And with that, let me kind of transition to you guys getting used to everything. Because if you are a small business owner, right, and you're listening right now, there's something that I know that is true for you. You're making important decisions alone, and that's expensive. Okay. One of the biggest advantages any business owner can have is being a part of a peer advisory group. This is not a networking group. Okay. It's not a club. It's not a mastermind full of noise. It's a real room of business owners who help you think clearly, avoid blind spots, and make better decisions. We run peer advisory groups specifically for small mom and pop venti shop owners who want clarity, accountability, and most importantly, the fewest costly mistakes, right? The reason why everybody has an executive council, the reason why big publicly traded companies have boards is to minimize costly mistakes. You don't have a board. Okay. This is your board. And if you need help right now, we can help you guys with that at our accounting firm. Okay. So if you need help, if you need accounting, structure, cleanup, you want to talk about peer advisory groups. By the way, you don't have to be a client of ours to be in one of our peer advisory groups. We start them the first of each month. So if you guys are interested, please go to speakwithaaron.com and book us a quick little call to chat, or go to businessforbreakfastradio.com and submit a question. Say, hey, I'd like information about one of your peer advisory groups. And at the start of the month, we always start new groups. And so if that's you, remember, this is free to join. Doesn't cost any money. And you don't have to be a member of Interstate Business Management to be in one of our peer advisory groups. But understand, the reason why we do this is because we're one of the few accounting firms owned by small business owners, not accountants, which means the secret to our success and our long-standing guiding philosophy has always been this. The only way that we're going to be in business 20 years from now is to make sure that you are still in business 20 years from now. You come first. Now you get it, right? So just make sure that if you guys have questions about anything, you guys want information about peer advisory groups, you guys have questions about taxes, accounting, payroll, just consulting, you can go to speakwithaaron.com, schedule us a quick call, and it will be me that answers and calls you. Or you can go to businessforbreakfastradio.com, submit a question that we will read on the show, or I'll respond directly back to you. All right, let's jump back into some news, shall we? All right. Let's get into the next topic. OM of the G. The SBA has a disaster program that is actually called, what is it called? EIDL. Okay, so it's called the, let's see, let's see, physical damage and economic injury disaster loans. So it's actually, I guess it's a bill, but these are basically, here's what it is: the SBA disaster loan deadlines. Okay, so the SBA has issued final reminders for businesses affected by the late 2025 fires, and this is California, and the droughts in South Dakota. Okay, so a lot of you guys don't know this, but the SBA actually typically does have disaster relief. Small Business Administration, you guys know, during COVID did a couple different packages, relief packages. One, the very first one was the PPP loans, and then they did the ERC, Employee Retention Credit, and so actually, small businesses are still getting Employee Retention Credit checks back up to this day, actually. And so, but the deadline for the Physical Damage and Economic Injury Disaster Loans Act, I guess, or loans program, is, ready for this, February 9th of this year. So we have about a month-ish, a little less than a month for this deadline. Okay. Why this matters to you as a mom and pop venti shop owner: these loans offer interest rates as low as 4% for terms up to 30 years. So if your local foot traffic was impacted by these disasters, this is your last chance for low-cost federal working capital. Okay, so make sure you guys take the time to do it, because this is one of those things where you invest today, it will return big dividends for you down the road. Okay, so, but just know that deadline is coming up. Let's move into something. This is a new excise tax provision in the new IRS OBBBA law, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And here is the headline: new 1% excise tax on cash remittances. Remittances. What does that mean? Well, let me tell you the story and we'll talk about it. Okay, so effective January 1, remittance providers must collect a 1% excise tax when customers pay for money transfers with cash or money orders. Okay, so what does that mean? So businesses that basically provide cash services. So we're talking like check cashing services, things like that. Okay, here's cash. I need a money order. Blah blah blah. Okay, you guys know that that's typically, like, a money order has been the cheapest thing on planet Earth to actually start to buy, because you just pay for the piece of paper and the service. So it'll be like, $1.50 for a money order, or or whatever it is, like 50 cents, whatever you're going. Okay, but now providers have to collect a 1% excise tax. A 1% excise tax. Did you hear me? Okay. Which means that if you start paying somebody, and let's say you have to pay a bill. Okay, you have a bill that's due, and this is important because you have to understand how this is going to work. You go to, let's say, Walmart. You want to pay a bill, and you walk in and you say, "Hey, I've got I've got a $500 car payment that I have to make." Okay, cool, we can do that, no problem. And let's just say that you're the finance company, maybe like in the last 3 months, a payment returned, and then they've got you like on the next 3 months of cash payments or something. So you walk into Walmart, $500 payment. You're like, "Here's my cash," and they say, "No problem. I need to get a money order because I need to go ahead and mail this payment off." Yeah, we can do that, no problem. But now there's going to be, and they're like, "Yeah, normally it's $1 for the money order, but now there's an additional $5 excise fee on there." Well, what's that for? Oh, that's the 1% excise tax that has to be collected now. So if you're going to be paying money, understand that whoever you're buying the cashier's check or money order from, bring extra money, because they must charge you that 1%. It doesn't go to them. That goes right up to Uncle Sam. And by the way, low-hanging fruit. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but I'm just saying it's an easy way to collect extra revenue, because lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of things happen through cash and money order transaction. I'm telling you guys, you'll see. You're going to, 100 years from now, we're going to look back and we will read about the Donald J. Trump presidency term 2. Term 1 broke a lot of grounds. Term 2, you will read about no president before or after that picked up more money for the United States of America. And without question, what he's doing today will carry the U.S. Um, probably till the end of his life. The momentum he's creating, it's like what he's building is a mile-long freight train, right? And that's what the U.S. economy is. That's what a cruise ship is, right? It's a mile-long freight train. And this freight train, okay, 2 seconds, because I just noticed that my laptop, and this is not going to happen again, got unplugged. There we go. Oh my gosh, this happened before where all of a sudden that stinking laptop turned off. But understand, this gentleman is going to be known as the one human being that picked up more low-hanging fruit and more money for the United States of America than any president before or after. That's because he understands what we have. And you also have a president that you've never seen before or after. And more than likely, over the next 250 years, you will not see another president that has the experience of the one that we have today in business, meaning getting attention, um, getting favorable, getting favor anywhere, being the most interesting thing on the planet, doing the best for the country. And here's what I'm saying: you might not agree with his positions, but in the end, here's what I will tell you: is that if you're sitting in a room with this gentleman and you ask him specifically about a question, what do you think about this? And he comes back. What I believe you're going to hear is a different story than what you read about in the media. Okay, so this is a huge, huge deal, and it's going to generate a lot. I mean, a lot of revenue. You don't understand. You guys know we do small business accounting. Okay, you have any concept of how many business owners that we have that only deal with cash? Only deal with cash. A lot. Okay, especially if you're Hispanic-owned businesses. They love cash-only businesses. They don't like paying fees, right? So if you take payment processing, right, fees come out, right? So they don't like fees. So let's move on to something that Avalara Reporting News has a story: 1099K threshold reverts to 20,000. Okay. In major reversal, the reporting threshold for third-party payment apps has been returned to 20,200 transactions, repealing the previously planned $600 limit. Okay, let me explain to you what this means. So, I don't know. Let's say you guys get a haircut, okay, and you use an independent stylist, right? And you pay them with Venmo or Cash App, right? Do you know what that means? Did you know that if that actually happens, what that actually means is that at the end of the year, that business owner was to be expecting a 1099K that actually, ready for it, um, made them report their income, how much money they got. Every single person that dealt with Amazon, that got paid through Cash App, Venmo, right? All those cash paying apps, except for Zelle except for Zelle. Okay, but all the other apps report all those transactions to Uncle Sam, which means including Facebook Marketplace. Okay, so you go to let's just use an example. Let's say you guys basically have a couch you sell on Facebook Marketplace. Somebody comes, picks up the couch, and then pays you. They cash app you, $300 for the couch. Got it. Okay. And then you have a few more things that happen throughout the year. And all of a sudden, at the end of the year, you get a 1099 from Cash App for $932. You're like, why am I getting 1099? I didn't have a side hustle business. What is that? Well, now you know what it is. All of these payment processing apps keep track of every penny that comes and goes from and to you. Okay. Which means Uncle Sam knows everything. And what you guys don't know is the last few years, every year, this year was supposed to be the year that all of those payment processors were supposed to be sending you 1099s. But the laws changed and it's reverted back to 20,200 transactions. Guys, please, do you understand the differences? Let me help you understand here. As a small business owner, you want to understand the feeling I'm talking about, if you're just somebody that's high level listening to our podcast, to the show. But if you actually are a small business owner, then you understand the weight we feel every morning we wake up. Every morning we wake up, we have the weight of the world on our shoulders because we have to spin all seven plates. All seven plates of business, we have to spin ourselves. And it seems like the administration's love bending over small business who doesn't have the money, doesn't have the time, doesn't have the resources to do it. But because it's low hanging fruit and it's easy. We only have 15 million mom and pop businesses out there. So, you know what? Why don't we just basically make it where they have to report everything and it's the easiest. What you'll see is this show is not about politics at all, but what you will see is that usually left tends to make it harder for small business and it seems to be right makes it easier. And by the way, I've been independent for 20 years. Okay. So there's nothing to do with left or right. I'm just telling you, this right here takes the weight. You guys hear me talk all the time is that small business owners, mom and pop owners have two elephants on their shoulder. And the purpose of our show every day is to put those damn elephants in the sauna where they shrink and they lighten your load. That's what this was. This lightened your load. Okay. This was to lighten your load, mom and pop venti shop entrepreneur. Thank you, President Trump. Okay. Because I'm telling you right now, every one of you guys that gets paid and sells little side hustle things on Cash App or Venmo, yeah, you was about to be in a lot of trouble because you weren't keeping receipts and all of that income is counted as business unless you tell it to go otherwise. I know. I know. It's crazy. Okay. But now you understand it removes an enormous reporting burden from those casual sellers and those little micro businesses that process just a few transactions on the big platforms like Etsy, eBay, Cash App, and all those big platforms, Amazon, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What else is in the news today? Let's see. SSBCI, grant funding for professional services. Here's the story. It's being reported by DCEO Illinois. The new grant opportunities under the SSBCI Technical Assistance Program have been announced with a January 22, 2026 deadline. These funds cover legal, accounting, and financial advisory services for very small businesses. VSBs, or as we like to call them, Venti businesses, VBs or VSBs, right? But why does it matter? Because now you can actually get federal funding to pay for, high-end accounting and legal advice that you have to navigate. Because here's the thing, a lot of you guys don't know this, but the reason why Rebecca and I got into the accounting space years ago was not because I, just loved accounting. No, I mean, I've been an architect and engineer of numbers for decades, but it's because years and years ago, I had an accountant that railroaded me so bad it took me 10 years to get out of the hole. And the thing is there is always going to be tension pulling at each other between the accountant and the small business owner. The accountant and the small business owner. There's always tension. Always tension. Okay. And it's because we as small business owners don't have the money or the resources to hire the best of the best, like big boys do. Okay. And because of that, we're forced to deal with whatever we can afford. That's it. Right. So guess what? What this means is people like us, okay, mom and pop venti shop owners, us, we now have access to sources that we can get good quality representation through accounting and legal. Okay. The two biggest complaints that I have that do the most harm to small business is a bad accountant and a bad attorney. I know, man. The worst. One of those I think we're fixing, okay, because we're actually in control of it. And the other one, it'll take a couple years, but I believe we're also fixing that one as well. Okay. But this is probably one of the biggest stories of today because for you as an owner, and so I just want you guys to go and Google SSBCI Technical Assistance Program and see what it looks like, and for you guys to go apply for it. Okay. All right. Well, before we jump into some more news, I think we need to talk about a little bit about us. Okay. So we were just talking about getting some assistance from the SSBCI. But here's the bottom line. If you are a small business owner listening right now, here's something that I know to be true. You're making important decisions alone and it's costing you money. Okay. So, one of the biggest advantages any business owner can have is being part of a peer advisory group. Okay. This is not a networking club. This is not a mastermind full of noise. It's a real room of business owners who help you think clearly, avoid blind spots, and help you make better decisions. I want you to think that this is your own personal board of directors, 6 to 8 individuals. Okay. And so we run peer advisory groups specifically for mom and pop venti shop owners who want clarity, accountability, and most importantly, to make the fewest costly mistakes. Okay. That's the beauty of having your own peer advisory group or your own personal board of directors. Okay. And we at IBM, we've been doing small business accounting, payroll, and business consulting for almost 60 years. But I'll tell you, one of the most important things that we do is that accountability. And honestly, it's one of the things that we talk about a lot, that if you as a small business owner quite literally understand what it is that we do and the difference between what we do for accounting and what the average accounting firm does, our secret is your success. So obviously, if we can help you guys, and that's the reason why we do this show every day. I want you to get 1% smarter. That's the purpose. I want you to hear business news without any of the hype and the drama, and I want you to learn something where you can apply it today. Because remember, success is simple. Success equals planning plus execution. That's it. Success equals planning plus execution. So today, I just want you to pick one thing we talk about and then execute it. That's it. Just execute. Okay. So, I want you guys to be intentional about that. And if you guys need help with that, give us a shout. You can go to speakwithaaron.com and schedule a call to chat with me, and it'll be me that calls you. Or you can go to businessforbreakfastradio.com, submit a question. If you have questions about business or the show or questions for me in particular, I'll reply back or answer it on the air. But with that, let's jump back into some more business news, shall we? All right. Okay, what is next up on our agenda for Bizzo News? And I love it. Juicy news. Juicy news. All right. Make my little note here. Juicy. I just love it. It's like I want like juicy bubble gum, like juicy. I don't know why. Why is it that we love the word juicy, but we hate the word moist? I don't get it, man. I don't get it, but I'm just telling you it's the way our ears work, right? All right. What's next up? 2026 standard deduction limits have increased to 32,200 for married couple filing jointly. That's big, man. I think it was 31.6 last year. They did a bump up. And honestly, for many small business owners who file as sole props or kind of pastor entities, this increases the amount of income that is shielded from federal taxes. And if I can take just 2 seconds and just give a little bit of feedback. Are you guys okay if I give you a little bit of feedback? Are you okay with that? Okay, good. Can we talk about standard deductions for 2 seconds? And can we also talk about we talked about sole proprietors? Okay, so a sole proprietor is a lot of you guys think that a W-2 employee is the highest tax entity in the United States of America, and it is not. It's one of them, okay? Because you understand that you as a W-2 employee, if you are, even if you're a business owner paying yourself W-2, and most businesses do, then what happens is that you as a W-2 employee, the employee pays half of the 15.3% in social service taxes. The employee pays half and the business pays half, okay? But if you file an LLC in your business by default, the IRS has you as a sole prop, because you have to understand that an LLC is not a taxable entity to the IRS. Sole proprietor, partnership, S-Corp, C-Corp, nonprofit, these are taxable entities, not an LLC. That is state driven. So by default, the IRS makes you a sole prop, which actually is the highest tax entity in the United States of America. That's right, it is. Yes, it is. Okay. So because of that, this one thing, what I'm going to tell you today, if you're listening and you are a small business owner, filing as an LLC with the IRS as a sole prop or a partnership, okay? Um, what I'm about to help you with today, and if your business does more than, let's say, 100,000 in revenue, this right here is going to, I don't know, probably double your profits this year. This one thing. I want you to go to, and Google IRS Form 2553, and I want you to complete IRS Form 2553, and I want you to submit it and change your business entity to an S-Corp. Mhm. And you can thank me. That's right, because you're gonna immediately minimize your, the social services taxes immediately, right? Because S-corps, are pass-through entities. You'll get, distributions are passed through on a K-1, and those are treated differently than ordinary income, okay? It's treated differently than sole prop. It's amazing. So, the fact that it's going up is awesome. You kind of expect it, usually standard deductions does increase every year with, inflation, which kind of makes sense, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm glad to see that that is increasing. It should be increasing every year, right? All right. What else is in the business news today? Okay, okay. What do we have here? AI generated search optimization for local posts. Oh, whoa. This is big. This is big for us, man. Because here's the story. Instagram and Google have announced deeper integration where AI now generates descriptions for social posts to help them appear in local Google search results. Okay. So, and I'll tell you, man, I don't know. I've been a early adopter of AI since the beginning. And I knew that it was going to be huge the very first time that I used chat. I knew it was gonna be huge. And by the way, if you guys are listening and not seeing me, you guys will hear me drink routinely, and I'm sipping on my Tulsi tea, otherwise known as holy basil tea, and, it's quite, magical. For me, it, contains my ADD big time, and I love it, but that's what you're hearing me sip. So why is this search optimization so huge? And I'll tell you why. Because again, as a small business owner, we don't have the discretionary income to hire individuals that are experts at spinning that plate, right? And if we're talking about the 7 plates of business, if I can just kind of recap for you guys what they are. Plate number 1 is the trade. That's the donut store, the dry cleaner, the restaurant, the transmission shop. That's the business that you run on the day to day. Okay. That is plate number 1. That plate alone will take you 20 years and you won't actually master the one plate, which is the trade. Plate number 2, the accounting plate. Yeah, but I don't know anything about accounting. I know, but if you don't know how to spin that plate, you're out of business in 5 years. Plate number 3, sales and marketing. Yeah, I don't know anything about that plate. I know, but if you don't know how to spin it, you're not going to get any customers in the door and you'll be out of business within a year. Okay. What about the HR plate? I don't know anything about HR. I know, but if you don't know how to spin that plate, then you are actually the one doing everything in the company. And you will be out of business within a couple of years because you've burned yourself out and you've done 20 years worth of work in 2 years. Yes, that's true. Um, uh, what about the customer service plate? How many? What's the skill set that? What's the education, the classes that you've taken to properly handle customer service? Because most small business owners treat and handle customer service incorrectly. That's a plate you have to spin, and if you spin that wrong, you're going to be running off customers as fast as they come in. That's right. What is the other plates we have to spin? How about the logistics plate? And I'm talking specifically the most efficient way between point A and point B. And for small business, that happens to be systems and processes. Okay. Who helps you spin that plate? Yeah, nobody. And finally, we as a business owner, trust me, that damn printer is going to break. We got to figure out what merchant processor we're going to be using. All these different things, which means we also have to spin the IT plate. So if one of these big, magnificent 7 tech companies can come on the scene and actually create content for us, and I'm specifically referring to Gemini, which is Google's AI. Okay. So Google's AI, when it first came out, was actually a different name, and it was actually horrible. And then it's had 2 or 3 different variations of it. But I'm telling you, Gemini is amazing. So I'm telling you, and the reason why when it comes to online stuff, okay, so here's kind of my rule of thumb. Wherever you are spending the lion's share, or the lion's share of your business comes from, or where the lion's share of your marketing goes to, or whatever. If that business comes out with tools that help you do your business, immediately adopt those tools. Now, in the very early days, you will have third party software that will connect as a connector. But in the end, the OG tool is the one you need to use when they have their own. And so Chat was great, but Chat's not Google, right? I mean, let's be honest. The number one search engine on planet Earth is what? Not a trick question. It's Google. The number two search engine on planet Earth is what? Again, not a trick question. It's YouTube. Okay. So obviously, if Google's AI is coming out with its own writing tools, don't you think, hypothetically, possibly, that those tools are going to write in the best way for their own algorithms to pick it up? Of course. Of course. Okay. It's not rocket science, right? So, yes. And trust me, I love Gemini. Okay. So, I am a regular and I spent probably equal amounts of time in Gemini, Chat, and Grok. Yep. Yep. And for each different things, by the way, different things. And you just go use them. Take one prompt and put it in all three and wait for the response, and then you'll understand why you do it. Okay, then you'll know why you don't just use one AI. You have multiple AIs for multiple things. It kind of reminds me of like Tiger Woods back in the '90s when he had like a hooker in every town. Like he's like, I need a hooker for each different thing. Okay, well this is AI. You need an AI for different things and different needs, right? And so you'll see. Trust me, you will love Gemini. Just go use their latest image generator, Nana Banana. I'm gonna like give you a little like so last week my son had his baby, their very first. I can't even tell you how amazing it is. And little grandbaby. And so I told Nana Banana, okay, and I said, go find me a picture of a tater tot and then make the tater tot look like the cutest baby you've ever seen. And I am not exaggerating. The image this thing spit out, just go do it yourself. Go to Gemini, okay, and say, find me a tater tot and make the tater tot look like the cutest baby you've ever seen. And tell me what that image looks like. If that's not a 4K image of something you saw off a Toy Story, I don't even know what is. Okay. That's how powerful this stuff is. Okay. So be attentive. That's big. That's real big for us. Okay. Now, how about we jump into, if we can, a quick little lesson for you guys? And you guys know part of what we do every day is talk business news and then just give you guys some tips and tricks, right? And the goal here is to give you guys daily tips and tricks and reframes that you can use today to help you be 1% better today. Okay, so that's the goal. Routine is the key, but consistency will set you free. So, routine is the key, consistency will set you free. So, that's the goal every day. And that's part of the reason why I do this every day at 7, because it's my routine to make sure that I'm thinking business from the second I wake up and I'm ready to go rather than by 10 a.m. By 6 a.m., I'm ready to roll. Okay, so this is my accountability. And so, and you guys know that the teacher always learns more than the student. So, we all know that I'm learning just as much as you guys are, and so, but let's kind of shift a little bit. And I want to kind of give a couple little tips and tricks that I've used throughout the years that have helped me succeed. Okay. And a lot of you guys know my story. I started my very first business at 13, my very first 7-figure business at 21, and my first 8-figure business at 28. I've started well over a dozen companies from an idea to turn into 7, 8-figure companies. And so for me, I've just spent decades doing it wrong to figure out a little bit how to do it right. And so I just want to come and hang out with you guys today because I believe that mom and pop Venti shop owners are the hardest working people, the most important people on planet Earth, in my humble opinion, and that nobody helps us. And so the purpose of this show is just for you. It's for you. Okay. And so whenever we give tips and tricks, I just want to help you. Okay. And so if you have ADD, I am going to change your life. So let me say that again. If you have ADD, I'm going to change your life right now. Right now. There's a certain percentage of you right now that will hear this and it will forever change your life because it changed mine. Okay. And here it is. When it comes to ADD, and you guys know that we are the worst individuals on the planet for distracted thinking. That is literally where the term attention deficit disorder came from, because you can be talking to us. Trust me, this happens every day while I'm watching TV with my wife. Okay. You guys know I get done with the day. I've got a couple hours before I'm basically ready for the evening. And I just like to unplug and turn my brain off and completely immerse myself in the show. So I'm not thinking about all the crap that I have to do, that I did today, that I screwed up, and what I have to do tomorrow. Turn it off. My wife will talk to me and she'd be like, right. So what do you think about that? And I was like, what do I think about what? I wasn't listening at all. That has nothing to do with me not wanting to. It has everything to do with my attention. And you guys know deficit also has a hyper focus. Okay. So if we're in something in the weeds, mentally in the weeds, and that's a restaurant term, if you guys know it, if you're mentally in the weeds, you guys know you're not in the present moment, which means one of the worst traits of a small business owner that has ADD is we constantly touch things and put them down and have no memory of where we put them. No memory, not at all, nowhere. It's nowhere, and to the point where your mind literally doesn't even remember even seeing it, even though you might have touched it and moved it. Okay, that's because the power of the ADD brain, right? So this one reframe completely changed my life, and here it is. Don't put it down, put it away. Don't put it down, put it away. Don't put it down, put it away. Okay. So I'm telling you right now, if you struggle with misplacing your stuff all the time, okay, then I want you to have this mindset. And your only job is to be conscious of the things in your hand that you're putting down. That's it. I don't want you to do anything else other than repeat to yourself when you have something. Don't put it down, put it away. Don't put it down, put it away. Don't put this down, go put it away. Don't put it down here, go put it back where you got it. Okay. And your life instantly today is better. Today, that right there will make you 1% better today. Guaranteed. Mark my words. Remember, success equals planning plus execution. So your job is to hear what I'm saying and then execute it. And then you just go to speakwithaaron.com, schedule us a quick time to chat. Let me know, if what I'm saying is resonating with you. You can go to businessforbreakfastradio.com, submit a question, give me a praise report. Yo, 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 bro. My B for B, boy, took care of me. The tip that you said changed my, whatever it is. I don't care. You guys know that this show, honestly, is really, it's a couple things. One, it's a big homage to, I've said it often, our modern day oracle, the great Scott Adams. He is one of the most brilliant minds that we've ever seen, and he is, if you guys don't know, slowly passing from terminal cancer. I say slowly; it's progressing pretty quick, and so really, much of this show is about continuing his reframes and his mindset, but utilizing it not in the top political news for the day, but in the top business news for the day. But the same way with Scott, his whole purpose every day that he's been on for years and years and years is purely about helping you suffer less. That's it. That's why he does it. He's worth an insane amount of money, but you guys will see that's the reason why he does what he does. Right. And so that is the reason why I do what I do. It's to help you, mom and pop venti shop owners, suffer less today. So if you struggle with that, don't put it down, put it away. And the other thing that we were talking about last week, which I want to go ahead and say it again today, is the 4 C's of feedback. Okay. You guys will hear me talk about this a lot. This is one of those, it's the customer service plate that most small business owners spin incorrectly. So the 4 C's of customer feedback: comments, criticism, complaints, and compliments. Most business owners think 3 of those are bad and 1 of those is good. But in actuality, 3 of those are great and 1 of those is okay. The bottom line is that you as a business owner must get rid of your ego. Okay. And you got to get rid of having to be told how great your business is. Get rid of that garbage. Get rid of all of it. Okay. Get rid of all of it. Right. What you need is the closest ear to your customer by a mile. The companies, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. The companies that have T's in front of their valuations have the lowest barrier of entry from customer to decision maker. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? Did you know that that's the reason why Jeff Bezos started publicly posting his email in 1996? He wanted direct access to the customer. No middle feedback, no middle management feedback. No, I need you. I need you. I need what you think. You are the most important person, right? So this is about that. You are the most important person. And so the 4 C's of feedback is simple. Your job is to take your business personally, but then when you get feedback, your job is to not take the feedback personally. Take your business personal, but you can't take the feedback personal. It will sink your business. If you are the business owner that always gets offended every time somebody says something to your perception negative about your business, you are losing. You are losing. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. This reframe I'm about to tell you right here will literally transform today. And what I'm about to tell you is one of my most important life values today. I'm going to tell you one of my most important life values I use every day, personal and business. It's not my idea or your idea, but the best idea that wins. It's not my idea or your idea, but the best idea that wins. Okay. So here's how you remove taking feedback personally. Take away the business idea from you. When you operate from the mindset, what happens is the idea is stuck to you. But when your mindset, it's not my idea or your idea, but the best idea that wins, what happens is it stretch, it like takes, it's like the Spider-Man where he was like black Spider-Man, he just got the black stuff, and it's like, ah! Remove the idea from you. Remove it. And imagine it floating above your head. It's just floating, floating right here. It's not my idea or your idea, but the best idea that wins. Which of these things that's floating here is the best one, right? So the 4 C's of feedback. If it will help the business, then do it. Success equals planning plus execution. None of this is hard. Okay? You just got to apply it. You got to execute. You can hear it, but then you got to apply it, right? And that's the tough thing. You can hearing is easy, applying is hard, right? All right. Before we wrap up, I would enjoy real quick. I want to give a little shout out at the end of every one of these shows. I like to do a reframe from my mentor, Scott Adams, from his latest book, How to Reframe Your Brain. This is chapter 6. In the chapter 6 is titled Reality Reframed. And I'm telling you right now, we will look back 100 years from now and look back today and call Scott Adams our modern day oracle. We will. All you have to do is go. I give everybody a 30-day Scott Adams challenge. You just go pick 30 days in a row. Just go listen to one of his daily shows and put it on 1.5 to 2 speed, and tell me if after 30 days your life isn't changed. Tell me. I mean, I don't know of a single human being that's ever interacted consistently with Mr. Adams and not been changed. And so every day we wrap up, and I always want to give an homage to my mentor, Mr. Adams. And this particular reframe, the usual frame, and so the way this works is he writes all these chapters of all these, the normal frame that you've heard your whole life, and then a new way of thinking about it, a new frame, right? And it doesn't make sense because reframes shouldn't just automatically reprogram the subconscious, but they do. And given enough time and enough people that listen, there's a certain percentage of these that this reframe will change your life. And that's the purpose of today. I just want you to get 1% better today. That's it. Because you guys know routine is the key. Consistency will set you free, right? All right, here's the usual frame. One of us is right and one is wrong. How about this reframe? We're watching 2 different movies on one screen. Wow. Wow. And I tell you where this really, really plays down. Politics. You hear what I'm saying? And you guys know this is a politics-free zone. I think we've got enough of that noise. That the thing that what we don't need as business owners is more noise and more distraction. We need encouragement. We need knowledge. We need resources. We need training. Give us some tips and tricks. That's what we need as business owners, not drama, right? Leave the drama for your mama, right? Leave that crap in the parking lot. So what I'm trying to help you guys understand is that what you see in politics is not left versus right. This is not right or red versus blue. This is not male versus female. This is not white versus black. No, it is not. This is, you have to understand, you have no opinions yourself. None. If you were isolated in a cave for 10 years, would you know anything about Donald Trump other than you loved him on Celebrity Apprentice? No, you would know nothing, right? Your opinions are assigned to you by what you pay attention to. Your opinions are assigned to you by what you pay attention to, which means that if your source of relevant news to you is legacy media, you have to understand that that is state-owned media, and the state is going to put the media that they think that is going to benefit them the most. And that's what you're going to see. But what you've seen the last 5 years is something that we've never seen in the history of mankind. And it's the birthing and the evolution of independent journalism. Nick Shirley, my boy, 23 years old, up in Minnesota, just a camera, 23-year-old kid, somehow does more journalism work than all legacy media combined in the entire state for 20 years. Crazy. Doesn't make any sense. But it does make sense, right? Because you understand, it's about the frame. So if your source of news is legacy media, then you will have one lens on politics. If your source of media is independent journalism, you will have another lens on politics. And that is the same way with everything. If your source of education is purely schooling, your primary schools to 12, then a college, and then more college for advanced degrees and certifications, then your leaning and bend is purely from an institutional way of learning. Well, I'm not saying that's good or bad, but I am saying there's a different way of learning. I know. I have that. Richard Branson has that. Henry Ford had that. There's lots and lots of people that have the other way of looking at it. Elon Musk has that. These are individuals that think differently, right? And so again, not wrong or right. It's just a different frame. So here's my recommendation to you. The next time that you're talking to somebody about politics, and because you always hear the things you never bring up, religion and politics, because it's a thing that activates most people for their identity, which means if it's your identity, that's your ego. Your ego is how you identify to the world. You know that, right? So that will be activated if somebody's talking politics or religion that goes against your viewpoint. But if your mindset is, look, I have a viewpoint based on the media that I pay attention to. They have a viewpoint based on the media they pay attention to. And because of that, we are basically there's two different movies being watched by two different individuals on the same screen. Same event, but it's talked about and viewed differently by how it's displayed into the world. You guys get that, right? So huge reframe. Remember, it's not left versus right. It's us watching two different movies on one screen. Okay? All right. So that wraps up another little show. But you know what? At the end of each show, I like to hold on for my favorite dad joke of the day. So if you guys hung out with me to the very end, you're about to just get the dad joke of the day, the highlight of the day. And here you go. Okay. If anyone gets a message from me about canned meat, don't open it. It's spam. Woot woot! Can I get a woot woot? You know that's the best dad joke you've heard all day long this early in the morning. So with that, that wraps up another amazing episode of Business for Breakfast, where you come here for daily news plus tips and tricks to help you mind your own business and get 1% better today. Routine is the key. Consistency will set you free. So I want you here every day. You guys know that this is the 7 a.m. Get your tail out of bed. I'm going to set the day straight. Why? Because I need it too. Right. So that wraps up another episode of Business for Breakfast. And you guys know what time it is. What time is it, people? Oh, it's time to get to work.